taste disappointment again. 41-38 is the final. For Don McPherson and Hawley Rowe, I'm Rich Waltz. 41-38, NC State wins it. We're headed to Georgia and South Carolina. Top that, Dave Barnett.
Rich Waltz, we might. Good as yours was, this one is starting out in that same direction. Number 10, Georgia, trailing South Carolina, was just a week ago, ended a 21-game losing streak, 14-7. Late in the first quarter, 2:20 to go. Quincy Carter with the swing pass, and Musa Smith, the freshman, is strung out and dropped near the 10-yard line, and a marker is down. South Carolina, 14-7. This has been all offense, with a couple of big returns mixed in. 80,000 plus are here at Williams-Brice Stadium. The SEC opener for both. Georgia coming off an easy win last week over Georgia Southern, while South Carolina shut out New Mexico State 31-0 to end that losing streak at 21 games. Lou Holtz began his second season in Columbia, wiping out a lot of memories of the lack of success from last year. Rocky Good, the referee.
Flag ball against the offense. Decline. Third down.
Second time in the last 3 snaps Georgia hit with that penalty. They scored on their first drive, with Brett Millican getting his first touchdown of the year on an option pitch from Carter. South Carolina has had it twice, scored twice, and the star so far, Derek Watson, 5 carries, 30 yards. He has both touchdowns. The big play setting up that go-ahead score was Andre Goodman's 72-yard interception return off of Carter. Quincy 5 of 7 for 48 yards, and has all day before he delivers deep, and at midfield it is broken up. Threw it into double coverage, intended for Darrell Robinson, and Kevin House got a piece of it. So South Carolina up 7, and they're about to get the punt and should take over somewhere in Georgia's end of the field with 1:40 to go in the first quarter. With Bill Curry, Mike Golick, and Michelle Tafoya, hard to believe this place saw an 0-11 season last year. It is jumping with excitement at this first quarter. Jonathan Kilgo is back. Ryan Brewer will watch this one bounce near midfield, out of bounds. Still outstanding field position for the Gamecocks. Kilgo's kick, 39 yards. The Gamecocks up 7, take over when we come back. ESPN2's presentation of college football is brought to you by Volkswagen. On the road of life, there are passengers and there are drivers. McKissick Museum, that's at the Horseshoe, the site of the original South Carolina College. And in Columbia, Dave Barnett, Bill Curry, Mike Golick. The worst offense in the country last year. South Carolina, they're up 14-7.
They don't look like the worst offense. They have retooled the whole thing. Skip Holtz has done a wonderful job, don't you think, Mike?
Well, yeah, and it's all about coming out with that emotion. Georgia had to withstand that initial emotion, and they haven't. South Carolina's got it going on right now.
After the punt, they take over at the 49 of the Bulldogs. Phil Petty steps up, and the ball is overthrown, intended for Corey Alexander. Gamecocks have had an incredible advantage in field position, mainly because of the 72-yard interception return, setting up that go-ahead score by Andre Goodman. Petty with 4 wideouts will take the snap out of the shotgun on 2nd and 10. Well protected. The short toss over the middle for Michael Agees is complete.
Well, the thought thought for Georgia at the beginning of the game was to get it down there and play some smash mouth football, and they did. 10-play drive to score, but Lou Holtz's team certainly answered the bell.
Yeah, Lou's team does not look like a 1-11 outfit. They look like they're hanging right in there with one of the top teams in the country. And I got to say, Georgia's back on their heels right now. They are the ones that look like they're in a little disarray. They're the ones committing the critical penalties and making mistakes.
Jim Donnan's team, many think, may be the most talented in the SEC this year. A strike for a first down, and down to the 32 of the Bulldogs is James Atkinson. A 12-yard pickup ended by Will Witherspoon. Here's how we got to 14-7 Gamecocks. The opening kick went to Georgia, and Quincy Carter moved him smartly down the field. His option pitch went to Brett Millican, who carried it over. Derek Watson breaking tackles en route to the tying touchdown for Carolina. Then the big interception by Andre Goodman. 72 yards on the return. Going in standing up for touchdown number 2 was Watson. And the seconds tick down on the first quarter. Nothing but fireworks so far in Columbia. 4 wides again. And the shotgun draw will reach the 27-yard line for Andrew Pinnock. On what will be the final play of the first quarter.
One other thing mixed in there, Dave, that you didn't have time to mention, we didn't have time to show, was a remarkable kickoff return by Derek Watson. And Watson, coming out of high school, was supposed to be the second coming of George Rogers, the Heisman Trophy winner here years ago. He's been a disappointment, but not today.
Not much has disappointed Gamecock fans today. 80,000 plus. And through one quarter, the all-time high school Brown gaining champion in the history of South Carolina, Derek Watson, has the Gamecocks on top of number 10 Georgia for Lou Holtz, 14-7. Ready for the second quarter in Columbia now. 14-7 in South Carolina, looking at second down and 5 at the Georgia 27. And the field position game to perfection so far behind Phil Petty, junior quarterback, Boiling Springs, South Carolina. Taking most of the snaps from the shotgun so far, and he bobbles that pitch before tossing the shovel pass to Corey Alexander, which is incomplete. Actually a break for the Gamecocks. It'll be 3rd and 5. Through the first quarter, 70 rushing yards, and most of that from Jasper Sanks for Georgia. 49-21 edge through the air, so Georgia has the total offense advantage almost 2-1, but the turnover the difference right now.
That was the big play. Andre Goodman stepping in front of a Quincy Carter pass that was very late on a down and out. His pass was late. The receiver didn't come back to it. Goodman, a nice break on it. Got to go to the quarterback on that one. I know it's Quincy's fault. Goodman makes a nice play, set up the second score.
On 3rd and 5, 4 wides, and Petty has time to swing it out to Watson, but Watson has no room, and he drops the ball. It rolls out of bounds at the 29. Kendrell Bell and Jamie Henderson had Derek Watson corralled pretty well.
Oh, Bill, what do you do here? It's 4th down. You're on about the 27-yard line. You don't have the leg for a field goal. You go for it. I don't think you're going to punt here and try and poach him.
Oh, I really think that you go for it.
Absolutely,
I think Lou Holtz will have a play for this sort of thing. Skip Holtz, I should say. And they'll try to make a first down here because you're giving up field position. Unless you've got a great punter that you know can pin him down there inside the 10. But it looks like he's going to do the right thing. I think is the right thing here, and see if he can make a first down and keep this spirit alive.
32% went their way last year. On 4th and 7, Petty feeling the pressure. Pass to Keith, and they will mark him out of bounds at the 26-yard line short of the first. Jermaine Phillips.
Right play, good call. He got outside to buy himself a little bit of time on a 4th down to either pass it or run it. He took his option all the way to the end. It's a good job escaping. Now he's got an option, still has an option. Decides he's got to go for it. Good swarming by Georgia to stop him.
Yeah, I think he made a mistake. On 4th down in that situation, you throw a ball that your guy has a chance to catch, but the defense can't intercept, and you invariably have that opportunity. He was not going to make the first down. There were too many white shirts coming inside out. But he's a young quarterback. He didn't play very much last year, and the coaches will get with him. Coach Holtz, the younger Coach Holtz, will get that squared away. On 4th down, you put it up and try to make the first.
So the Georgia defense holds, and they turn it over to their offense at the 26-yard line. Jasper Sanks for maybe a yard, and we send it down to the sidelines, and Michelle Tafoya.
Well, Dave, Lou Holtz said yesterday that his team's real turning point may have come in late July when he asked his team to do something he had never asked before. Starting with two-a-days, he asked 3 or 4 of his players at every team meeting to stand up and tell their life stories. He said some of the stories were so moving and the players were so amazed by them that they really developed a sense of trust and togetherness. And he says the result has been players wanting to play together and win together. And for once, Lou Holtz isn't underselling his team. He's actually saying they may be better than people think. Dave?
Yeah, even at 63, Lou Holtz still looking for new wrinkles to add to his coaching. Carter throws that one into the dirt in front of Terrence Edwards. Well, I'm betting, Bill, that that is a wrinkle that stays in Lou Holtz's repertoire for as long as he's at South Carolina.
Another big mistake by Georgia, and when I say big, a 5-yard penalty is a drive killer, and that's a mistake by the veteran quarterback. It seems to me that Quincy Carter's just a little bit discombobulated today, not playing with his normal poise. The throw he made, Mike, you cataloged that very well. That was too late for an out cut. Darrell Robinson, the wide receiver, didn't come back to it. They end with a long interception going the other way. Not sharp today for the Georgia offense since the first drive.
Quincy Carter is 17-1 lifetime when he's not playing Tennessee, Florida, or Georgia Tech. 2nd and 13. Carter keeping, coughs it up, and scrambles to recover his own fumble back at the 16. Another near disaster for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, another mistake. They're just not sharp today. This is the kind of thing that comes from somehow not getting quite focused in your performance, and it even happens to great players. That ball's not put away. It should be riveted to the rib cage. It's coming back across the body when it's ripped out. It's very fortunate that we end up with it. Dave, back to the Lou Holtz thing. I think Lou really learned something from this team, that they have a kind of bond that maybe he has not seen built in this kind of scenario before. And that's a lot of years that he's been in this business.
Easy to see how there wouldn't be a whole lot of trust after an 0-11. So they're building that with performances like this. That ball incomplete, intended for the tight end, Javaris Johnson, broken up. Andre offing the inside linebacker. Got it.
You know, to take that another step forward, defensive coordinator Charlie Strong told us that his defensive players, which improved from 10th to 5th last year in the conference and 20th in the nation, these guys never, it sounds weird, but never hugged each other after big plays. He said these guys never got together. Now, he said they're feeling it. They're seeing what the success does. You're seeing the guys giving high fives and hugging each other a little more. May sound weird, but it's certainly bringing this team together.
Field goes first punt. Yet only 39 yards. A little bit better here. And Ryan Brewer will again have the Gamecocks set up to start a drive in Georgia territory. 12:07 to go in the second quarter. South Carolina by 7. A lot of people's preseason all-SEC quarterback, Quincy Carter, not looking like himself at all so far. His team trailing 14-7, and South Carolina takes over after another quick Georgia possession at the 48 of the Bulldogs. A couple of snaps have not come from the shotgun to Phil Petty. And the play fake before he throws, intended for Carlos Spikes. Too far out of bounds. Derek Watson started his collegiate career as if he would live up to the height, 118 yards in his debut last year against NC State. That was pretty much his season, only 276 the rest of the year. He started 14 for 114 last week against New Mexico State. But as opposed to shutting it down, he is just starting to get the Jets fired up based on what we've seen from him in the first half today.
He's very serious about continuing this run of success. I think he likes the taste.
Lou Holtz says he can be better than Ricky Waters and the bust, Jerome Bettis, best running backs Holtz had at Notre Dame. Think about that statement. Ryan Brewer takes the short toss to the 42. Hit there by Will Witherspoon. So Watson's day so far.
Yeah, if Jerome is the bus, maybe this guy's the SUV. He just left Jamie Henderson leaving a significant portion of his equipment on the field. And now watch him bounce outside. You don't teach people to do that. God gives that to you, or you don't have it at all. Then he smashes it up inside following the interception for the touchdown. Derek Watson is dominating this football game. And that's exactly what Coach Holtz expects of him.
Third at 5 times, 31 yards, 2 scores. Return to kick 52 yards. Now on 3rd and 4. Another swing pass incomplete. Andrew Pinnock took his eyes off that.
Well, South Carolina's been mixing it up fairly well and keeping Georgia's defense on their heels. We talked about how Quincy Carter, Georgia's quarterback, has been struggling. It's going to be incumbent on this Georgia defense to pick it up a little bit. A defense that was last in the SEC last year, but returning 8 starters. And they got a couple of big guns in the middle with Richard Seymour and Marcus Stroud, the defensive tackles. They're going to have to step it up a little bit here and try and pick up the slack for that offense right now.
Are they living up to the Golic tradition of defensive tackle excellence?
No, they're great athletes.
That's the difference.
Well, I don't think you understood the question. I don't think you understood what I thought I said.
Tyler Dean kicking to Damian Gary. And this is what he wanted. Hang it up high, make Gary get the fair catch somewhere inside the 20. It's at the 15. 11:01 to go in the first half, and the Gamecocks jumping on. Number 10, Georgia, early. South Carolina fans arguably the most loyal in college football. Even watching an 0-11 season last year, still averaged among the top 13 home attendance numbers in the country, about 78,000 or so, and they packed Williams-Brice Stadium again today.
Yep, and Lou, with his characteristic humor, said we raise more money per victory than any school in America.
More bad field position for Carter. Takes over at his 15. And Yusuf Smith, true freshman out of Elliotsburg, Pennsylvania, is driven backwards by John Scamper.
Georgia started out running the ball very well, but they haven't, so they've leaned on Quincy Carter a little bit, and he has struggled a bit to start this game. First, he gets welcomed into the program by Rashod Faison, number 11, with a nice little elbow to the chin there. That'll make your eyes water a little bit. Here, a late throw. That ball's got to be gone. Look at the receiver waiting on it. A bad throw by Quincy Carter here, not tucking the ball away. Gets it stripped out, almost loses it. Great players have to make great plays in tight games like this. It'd be Quincy Carter.
Out of the shotgun. Looking for running room, but fumbling Terrence Edwards. And recovered by the Dogs at the 17. Shannon Wadley forced that one loose from Edwards.
Well, this is a play just designed to get it to the receiver quick, to get the lineman out in front of you, and get the yards after the catch. Now, you make the decision here. Do you turn your shoulders up and get yards? What he's doing is looking for yardage. Figured he can come east and west a little more. The problem with that, there's some big guys behind you that are athletes that are trailing the plays, and they're going to come do just that for you.
Mike, you're exactly right, and this Georgia team again and again is showing signs of not being mentally focused and sharp and into this football game.
The play clock runs down as Carter manages a quick timeout. They were nowhere near being set for that snap.
Same thing, Mike. It just runs all through the team, and when it starts to cascade like this, you get into trouble, and then you have a hard time getting it out. So here we are, 14-7, South Carolina very much in this game.
Nope.
14-7, 9:33 to go in the first half, and after a timeout, Quincy Carter has him back out, looking at 3rd and 8. And a flag down right as he gets the snap.
Langston Moore, the nose tackle, jumped into the neutral zone. See if somebody moved before him.
Start the snap. False start on the offense. The 5-yard penalty. The team's 3rd down.
Well, thank you, sir. Now we know somebody moved before.
It just goes on and on. Your offensive line is a good reflection of the discipline that your team is playing with that day. And Jim Donnan knows right now he's got a real problem. His football team is not mentally focused in this football game. Lou Holtz knows he's got a chance to get up on a team that he wasn't expected to beat.
After that 5th penalty already, they now look at 3rd and 13, and Carter's tripped up as he tries to break free. Langston Moore.
No problem with those defensive players hugging each other now. Success breeds success. Look at Langston Moore, what he does. Does a nice inside move. He's right up here. Nice inside move on the lineman. Watch him with the club. Boom, inside. Great job of beating the running back block as well. That's just hustle. It's a great play.
Like a broken record. Again, Jonathan Kilgo. This time from inside his own goal line. And his best kick of the day so far. Ryan Brewer couldn't get to it, and it takes a huge Georgia bounce all the way to the 22. So for once, the Gamecocks don't start in or near Georgia territory. This is 65 yards off the foot of Kilgo.
When it's not going your way, it's not going your way. Quincy has the green light to run anytime he sees a big opening. His coaches have given him that. How often, Mike, do you see a D lineman in a position like that and an outstanding athlete pulls away? Not this time. South Carolina is sharp.
And we saw South Carolina just in their practices and walkthroughs, and they have some great athletes on that defense. Guys that aren't just, they're fire plugs on that line, but they can certainly move. In that little 10-yard square area, Bill, they can move pretty well, and that's where Moore got it.
Well, that's all you guys have to do is patrol between the tackles, right?
Well, he takes over at the 22. Slips it inside to Watson, and Georgia's seen that play 4 or 5 times now, and Josh Millard, among others, ready for it. Let's send it down to that happy Gamecock sideline, Michelle.
Well, you mentioned hugging, Mike. Lou Holtz's team has been doing a lot of it today. This South Carolina bench is amazingly electric. Every big play has brought a total eruption. Every player is on his feet. The defense is particularly excited about the fact that they aren't giving Georgia anything, guys.
I think how much emotion is pent up after you lose 21 games in a row.
A lot, Dave. I mean, like Mount Vesuvius.
What they're working on today is the SEC loss streak. 18 straight will end if they hang on here. Brian Scott, who averaged 21 yards per catch in that winless season as a sophomore, brought down by Bell and Millard. Last time they beat an SEC team, 97 against Vanderbilt, a ranked team the year before against Clemson. And the last time they beat a top 10 team, it was also Georgia. And you have to go back 12 years. 18 straight SEC losses, by the way, nowhere near the record. 0-37 Sewanee in its 8 unhappy years as an SEC member.
You think those are unhappy years?
3rd and 9. And he's had good protection all day. Not here. It breaks down on him, and Josh Millard lands on it. That's his 12th career sack. He just ties Goldberg, the wrestler, on the all-time Georgia list.
Nice outside move on Shane Hall is out there at tackle number 71 for South Carolina. Millard just beats him on the outside. Going to be up at the top of your screen. Just take Shane Hall with a nice swim move over the top, and well, I tell you, Petty's got to be able to see that a little sooner. That's coming right at his face. You got to have that peripheral vision working a little better than that, or you're going to eat a lot of face mask.
What about Golickberg? If we got you some trunks and Golickberg, that could be our ass.
They all do wrestling with their shirts off. That ain't happening here.
Is that a promise?
Oh, absolutely. My wife won't even allow it.
Tyler Dean's punt down to midfield. Damian Gary's return is inside the 40. And for once, Georgia has good field position. ESPN 2's college football doubleheader coming up next from Oxford, Mississippi. Auburn and number 18 Ole Miss. Heisman hopeful Deuce McAllister leading the Rebels. Tommy Tuberville's return to Ole Miss. Hard feeling still there. Tonight at 10, San Diego for number 21 Illinois and San Diego State. Kurt Kittner and the high-powered Illini offense against a tough Aztec defense there. Long day of college football here on ESPN 2. 6:03 of the second quarter. And Jasper Sanks inside the 35. Reese Davis, what's happening with Miami and Washington?
Well, Dave, Marcus Tuiasosopo just completed a pass to pick up about 25 to get Washington deep in hurricane territory, and let's see what else he can do. Slip one tackle, slip another, and then power his way into the end zone, and the Huskies are on top 14-3. They're deep in the second. Notre Dame has fallen behind by 2 touchdowns. Dan Alexander's gone in for the Huskers. It's 21-7.
And at Williams-Brice, 14-7. Gamecocks. Georgia, though, has 2nd and 6 at the 35 in South Carolina. Randy McMichael in motion. Jasper Sanks takes the toss sweep to the 32. And he's hit there by Cleveland Pinckney.
And when you got a team that's not in sync, and it's happened to everybody that's ever coached football, Jim Donnan is a smart coach. That's why he's won so many games. You go back to your fundamental plan, which is to get in 2 tight ends and take advantage of your superiority in physical ability and start knocking them off the ball again and see if you can ram it in with this good field position and score another touchdown and get this crowd quiet and get your team, to use Michelle's term, amazingly explosive on the sideline and erupting with emotion. I love that. I love that stuff.
That's what they did in drive 1, going 10 plays, just running it down South Carolina's throat.
Quincy Carter again has to use the timeout. That's their second with 4:41 second quarter. Quincy Carter, even before they broke the huddle, had to take a timeout. Evidently not happy with the personnel he had in there. They come to the line now on 3rd and 4. 4:41 to go in the first half, trailing 14-7. They come after him. He gets it away, and it is caught down to the 11. Goes Edwards. First down, 21 yards.
That's the poise in the pocket we're used to seeing out of Quincy Carter. Good pinpoint pass as well. South Carolina coming after him, and you're going to see that a lot. They're certainly going to try and put some pressure on him and come at him with a lot of different looks. Carter just hangs right in the pocket this time, waits for his receiver to break, for Edwards to break in the middle. Throws where he's going to be, right on the money. It's the best poise in the pocket we've seen today by Quincy Carter.
Rashod Faison almost had him on a safety blitz. Now the inside give to Sanks. Picks up 4 down to the 7.
So it's going to be interesting to see how Georgia attacks that South Carolina defense run by Charlie Strong, the D coordinator. It's really kind of a weird defense in the lineup of 3D linemen, but you have Kalimba Edwards, who's a lineman but plays linebacker, kind of a 3-3. Then you always have 5 defensive backs in the game. 2 come up on the ends. They actually look like outside linebackers. They call them spurs.
Yeah, they're spurs, and they're really outside guys on a wide tackle 6 for old 8-man front football. Very tough for today's scheme.
Jasper Sanks spins off the first hit and then piled up at the 5, where it will be 3rd and 4.
Georgia's answer, obviously, is to get in 2 tight ends, which forces them to square up, meaning they've got to do something to defense both sides of those 2 tight ends and then run their base offense. That's what they've been doing, hoping to just knock them out of there, but that has not worked very well since the first drive. They end up in 3rd and sort of longer than they'd like here.
It's absolutely right, because South Carolina can't really play him 2-gap him up, play him straight up. They're trying to hit the angles and bring more than Georgia has blocking.
I'd run some kind of naked here and get Quincy on the corner.
They're going 3 tight ends instead of 3 wideouts here, and there's Carter. Throws on the run, but too tall for Javaris Johnson.
And there was Quincy on the corner, and there was Javaris, who's 6'6", and when it's not going your way, sometimes it just doesn't go your way, and he overthrows the 6'6" tight end, who I'll promise you is all man. In practice Thursday, he was catching the ball with facility. Last year, 65 catches for the tight end position for this offense, and Quincy just doesn't quite hit the wide open.
He's got to make that. He's got to make that. I mean, he throws the interception.
Johnson was slapped wide open.
Got to make that throw. You've got to be able to make that throw if you're the quarterback.
Well, they'll try to get a 21-yarder out of Brett Millican, and they do. Millican makes it 14-10. vital that Georgia gets some points out of that drive. They settled for 3. Gamecocks still lead it.
On a Saturday.
South Carolina 14-10. Quincy Carter has a wide open Javaris Johnson in the end zone. Can't hit him. Overthrows him pretty badly. Talking it over with his head coach, Jim Donnan.
Yeah. This is really special, too, I think, with Donnan over on the sideline. Eyeball to eyeball, sitting right next to his leader and his QB, taking a personal, I would say more than an interest, taking a personal hand and getting this thing back on track.
Well, Bill, you ever go and sit with your quarterback on the sideline?
I think maybe I should have. I think maybe that would have been a good idea. I didn't do that. Jim, I think that's really smart, Mr. Donnan.
Well, it seems like they've got to get some kind of motivation factor going on the sideline now. I got to believe they're the most surprised people in the stadium right now that they're losing 14-10.
Ready to kick it deep to Corey Alexander. 2:46 in the half. He hangs it high instead, and Antoine Neesmith, after drifting near the out-of-bounds mark, manages a return of 14 yards out to the 27. And let's find out what Reese Davis has in store for us at the half.
Well, Dave will have Rod Gilmore pounding his Pac-10 chest. Washington giving Miami a world of trouble. Notre Dame's hanging around with Nebraska. John Makovic will tell us just how that happened. North Carolina State and Indiana delayed you guys for a little while, but it was a great finish, and we'll talk about it at the half.
It was, and this may be headed that same direction. Bill Petty, almost the entire half out of the shotgun with 4 wides. Georgia, last time South Carolina had it, adjusting pretty well. This toss is to Ryan Brewer, who will line up as a running back sometimes, as a wide receiver sometimes, and he's upended by Tim Wansley.
Yeah, Ryan Brewer is one of those guys that you love to have in your program. Lou said this guy was player of the year in the state of Ohio. Nobody thought he could play at 1A level. He said he recruited us. And we looked at him, we said, by golly, Ryan might be able to help our team. And he said the players love him. He works hard. He does everything well. And here he is getting them up second and short. You love those second and one. Everybody's got to play when it's second and one. Go with the call there.
Set an Ohio State record 2 years ago over 2,800 rush yards. Same thing to the other side. First down to the 39.
Now, Ryan Brewer, also the backup punter, by the way. Another guy who shifted positions. Many guys have shifted positions on the South Carolina team. Ryan Brewer, one of them. He was the 3rd leading rusher in '99 at tailback, now playing out at wide receiver.
12 position switches from last year. Part of the reason is every time they looked up last year, somebody was getting hurt. South Carolina played 6 different quarterbacks, 16 different offensive linemen, 8 different starting combinations. It was not part of the plan for Lou Holtz's first year. Throwing this one deep, but almost making a one-handed catch is James Atkinson, who may have been out of bounds anyway.
Well, what this is doing for Skip Holtz, the offensive coordinator here, it's keeping the playbook open, being up 14-10. They're able to, they're not a one-dimensional offense, and they can't be, and Georgia hasn't forced them into being one-dimensional, so they're opening it up with the out routes, try and burn them deep a little bit, inside runs, outside runs. The more they can do that, the more they can keep this Georgia defense on their heels.
Yeah. There's Skip right there. Did a great job at the University of Connecticut as head coach, and really the evolution of this offense began there. And they actually practiced a lot of this shotgun stuff last year, though they didn't use it much.
Shotgun draw, Watson. Almost stepped out of bounds. He's still dancing.
Ooh, man. That's the way you're supposed to run when you're the top guy in your state. When you hold the state record, you're supposed to make people get excited when you have the ball in your hand. And this guy's doing it every time he touches it now.
Yeah, I agree with you, Bill, but you know what? Run it up the middle. He had the whole run the stupid thing up the middle. Look at him going all over the place, east and west. It sure looks good, though.
You are wrong again, and that's just really remarkable that you can be wrong so many times, but at least you're consistent.
I saw the middle of north and south.
You don't coach a guy like, you don't tell a guy like that where to run. You just say, give him the ball and don't say anything to him. I need to work with you. I know you're working with your son's teams. I need to talk.
Bill, let me give you a line tonight, all right? The only thing you knew about running backs was they were hard to tackle. Try that one on. 3rd and 2 for Watson. The other way. And again, they can't bring it down. Reverses field. Steps out inside the 35.
And you want to coach that guy? If you were on my staff, you would not be allowed to go in on the same practice field.
Like I said, forget up the middle. You just keep running down the outside, change directions. That's exactly what he should be doing.
Well, you are a fast learner. I'll give you that.
Well, this is just, you know, Georgia pursuing. You think he's going outside. Just comes back. This is nothing you're coaching. This is all instinct on a runner right here.
Like I said earlier, God did that. That was in the genes. This young man is a football player, and he's feeling it now. And he's enjoying it, and he's leading his team.
I still say you got to be careful, though, the East and West. You get burned a couple times.
Final minute of the half. Shovel pass. Andrew Pivot to the 17. Good for 17 yards.
That is a 245-pounder deep in the field. Look at the right guard here. He's going to do the pull, the little Utah pass going here. He cleans out. Not having to really hit anybody, diving downfield, though, but you got a 245-pounder running downfield.
Down 20 pounds from last year. Heading to the end zone. This is intercepted by Phillips. Overthrown and intercepted. He tried to hit Jermel Kelly. He may have thought he was throwing that one away. If so, he never saw Phillips.
His read progression is supposed to reduce the field so that he understands when there's zone coverage. He was expecting man coverage. He thought he had made a safe throw, and what he ran into was a hash safety coming off that hash, and a nice catch by Phillips. Phillips had a great game last week, had 14 tackles against Georgia Southern. Now he shows his old receiver ability, which is what he used to play. Comes down with the football in the corner. A serious mistake, and the first really big mistake by Petty in this game.
Absolutely. Just as Quincy Carter made the mistake on his interception or let throw, that absolutely was a mistake. You've got to see that safety coming over. You can't pull the string on that throw.
Needless to say, that was huge for the Bulldogs. Huge.
Carter will take a knee and settle for a 4-point game at the half.
And Coach Holtz is trying to get a timeout. He's trying to get the attention of his team, and they never look at you at a time like that. You got two captains that you teach, always look at me toward the end of a quarter or a half.
Well, I'll tell you what they were doing out there. They were jawing at each other. There's some jawing going on with these two lines and these offensive defense
they're fixing
right here.
To get some more jawing when they get to the sideline, but it's not going to be the kind they enjoy.
I always hated when a coach is looking right at me, yelling like that.
No, he's not yelling. He's saying now, young men.
Oh, no, he's yelling.
What I'd like you to understand is that this is a game of discipline. If you'll please glance my way, I will tell you what to do.
I didn't know your face turned red like that when you're just talking so calm.
Well, that's just for emphasis. Just for emphasis. I want you to understand this. They will not forget what Lou just said. Then you walk away. Lou has walked 14 miles, 385 yards so far in this game. We've got a pedometer on him. This is how he trains. You want to know how Lou stays light? It's not because of his diet. He eats hot dogs and all kind of stuff. He says, I am a medical marvel.
He's got one of them.
That's out of his own mouth. But he walks 325 miles in every football game.
He's got one of those fast metabolisms that I wish I had.
You've got a fast mechanism.
Oh, I got a fast chewing capability.
Bet nobody ever calls him Holtz.
It looks like they're going to do it again. Going to take a knee.
Well, 10 seconds.
That's what I like.
Still call timeout.
All right, now here, let me be serious a second. Here's why Lou was so upset. Had they taken their timeouts in a very quick fashion, if they had been disciplined, then they would have had a chance possibly to force Georgia to punt before the half. That's why Lou's incensed. You give up a chance for a big play. You may block the thing. You may pick it off and run in the end zone. Anything could have happened. Now they're probably not going to get that chance.
Well, point having been made, based on, I think, what we saw down the locker room. Almost 21-10. It's still 14-10, probably at worst for South Carolina. It's a game and a half where they have looked completely different from last year. Second half, what do you expect out of Georgia?
Well, I would expect that Georgia will get its act together. I would think that Coach Donnan would get Quincy together because he is the leader. In today's football, quarterback is everything, Mike, and the rest of the team's got to rally around him.
Absolutely. He has to be the leader of this team right now. Right now, he's not doing that, and South Carolina's got all the momentum. They got the record crowd here, I mean, or near record crowd. The longer they stay in this game, and obviously they're in it, the better chance they're going to have to win. The longer they can keep that offense mixed up.
But they just gave up a huge opportunity to at least get a field goal on the board with the interception.
But they're making up for it by being really tough against the Georgia guys, pushing and shoving and fighting and stuff.
Yeah. Now, that's exactly what a D lineman would say.
Bill Petty wishing he'd never put his defense in this position with that interception. Now, after Holtz let the players know what he thought of their decision not to get the timeout call, then the discussion went over to their coordinator, Charlie Strong. 8 seconds. They hand it off this time to Jasper Sanks. And that will end the first half.
And we have a Southeastern Conference football game. They're slugging it out, going to the locker room.
There you go.
There ain't nothing like it. Golick, you get into Southern football now. It's important down here, man.
Smash mouth.
Number 10, Georgia, trailing at South Carolina, losers of 18 straight in the conference. Let's send it to Reese Davis in the studio.
All right, guys, and a little bad blood coming into this one in that.
Surprising first half, South Carolina 14-10 over number 10 Georgia. 83,000 plus behind them here at Williams-Brice Stadium. Dave Barnett, Bill Curry, Mike Golick. Second half expectations. Starting with you, Bill. What do you
Well, my expectation is that if Georgia is all that it's cracked up to be, then they're going to rally. They will have gotten in the locker room, and somebody will have said, hopefully the players, hey, we're embarrassed. We're going to pick it up. We're going to play better. Now, I don't know how you feel about that, Mike.
Well, one thing Lou Holtz does on the side for South Carolina, he does a great job of getting in players' heads, and I guarantee he got in their heads at halftime. You guys could play right up there with him. You proved it in the first half. You took a hard punch from them in a long drive in the beginning, and now you came back and you handed it to them. Just stay with what you're doing, and you come out on top.
First half stats now with South Carolina being outgained 154-123. They did not commit a penalty. Their only real mistake was the end zone interception by Jermaine Phillips, and the biggest Georgia mistake, probably the 72-yard interception return by Andre Goodman, setting up Derek Watson's go-ahead touchdown. Georgia kicks. Brett Kerouac has it teed up, and Corey Alexander is deep for the Gamecocks.
A third quarter drive, the first drive in the third quarter, one of the most important. They're all important, but that one you really keep an eye on. How do you come out from halftime? Bill, we were noting how Georgia was coming back out on the field. Not really a lot of hop in their steps, so we'll see if they can try and put it to South Carolina this first drive, or South Carolina can make that drive.
Very high kick. Alexander heads to the middle, reaches the 23. Now, Michelle Tafoya was in Jim Donnan's Georgia locker room at the half. What was the scene there?
Well, Jim Donnan wasn't particularly happy, guys. I mean, obviously, he chastised his team for what he called stupid penalties. He said, don't let South Carolina's trash talking get to you. He urged his players not to succumb to that. And finally, he said, South Carolina's playing with confidence because they're playing ahead. Let's get back ahead so we can put the hammer down and play with confidence. Back upstairs.
It's been a long time since the coach said he's going to do something about South Carolina's confidence. This wasn't a concept anybody had to deal with last year. Watson spins to the 26. Charles Grant, the defensive end, on the stop.
You know, Michelle mentioned the penalties. I believe it was, 5 in the first half. In 97, Georgia averaged a little over 3 a game. I think that was tops in the country. Then they went to 5 in 98, up to 7 a game in 99, and looking like it's going in the wrong direction for penalties. And, Coach, I know you, as an old coach, hate those dumb penalties.
Oh, you hate them so much. And last week they only had 2. Did you say old, Coach?
Well, I didn't mean it that way.
I'm not a coach in there. But somebody would have argued that might have happened a long time before.
Yeah. Watson, first down. Showing a real knack for bursting through arm tackles. Jamie Henderson finally corrals him. But a gain of 10.
Here was that good move I'm talking about of starting wide, and then he comes up and goes north and south. He's got the 2 blockers there, doesn't try and go outside, cuts right in off of him and right up the field, drops that shoulder right at the end for another 2 or 3 yards. Boy, he's a good-looking runner, Bill.
I thought you were going to coach him to run it north-south more.
He did. He just kind of cut it in that time. I think he listened.
Yes, he was excellent today.
Unlike last year when he had the big debut, 118 yards, and then nothing really the whole rest of the year. He has built on his opening performance last week against New Mexico State. This stop by Witherspoon notwithstanding. He cuts him down before he can get wide.
And Witherspoon's one of the Bulldogs that's playing with reckless abandon. He's been all over the field today. We got him unofficially for 6 tackles now. And you don't see a lot of tackles for any other player on the Bulldogs. Georgia is certainly physically superior, but I don't see them bouncing around like you said, Mike. When they took the field, there wasn't a lot of zip. They're out there now. They're not getting lined up with a whole lot of enthusiasm. I don't know. It's just a feeling I have. The coaches, I'm sure, would like to see them with more zip.
They've got about 10,000 fans here. They've been pretty quiet. Swing pass Watson. Breaking 2 tackles. Reaches the 40. It will be 3rd and about 6. South Carolina last year, last in the country, 229 total yards per game, 7.9 points per game, also last in the country. They went through centers at one point, 4 different centers going down in a matter of days. And the injury bug, the lack of talent left over from the previous regime, all adding up to 0-11.
16 offensive line.
And a lot of pressure on what was a really good, underrated South Carolina defense last year, in the top 20 in the country. Much more balance evident this year. Petty is on target. Fleming first down to the Georgia 44, 18 yards.
Now, Mike, that's a big play for Petty to come out after the half when he cost his team a possible touchdown or at least a field goal right before the half. Come out and show that poise, roll out to his left, get his shoulders around, and make a perfect throw.
Well, you just said it right there. Get your shoulders around. When you see that roll left, that's a tough throw. But you saw he started deep and then was actually running toward the sideline. So, as you said, his shoulders were around, able to make that play.
Petty, one of the quarterbacks who went down last year, about half the season out with a sprained knee. Turned 22 yesterday. Been a happy day after birthday today. Gamecocks on the move. Another shotgun draw. Another broken tackle. Watson to the 35. He's close for another first down. Give him 9. The safeties had to bring him down. Phillips and Terrell Vieira.
I'm going to tell you 2 guys that we're not hearing a whole lot from. That's Richard Seymour and Marcus Stroud, the 2 defensive tackles for Georgia, All-America candidates, Outland Award candidates. Have to run right up the middle, right where those D tackles have to be and have to be closing things down.
Derek Watson gets a breather. And the back next to Petty is Andrew Pinnock. Pinnock will have the Gamecock first down to the 32. Wisconsin trailing Oregon at the half. Give us an update, Reese.
Dave, we talked about the Badgers having trouble mustering offense. Well, apparently they have found some, and they found some in the person of the Big Ten's indoor track athlete of the year, Michael Bennett. I set it up that way because you can now surmise that they are not going to catch him. 60 yards, Wisconsin on top, 7-6 in the 3rd.
Rarely will they ever catch Michael Bennett from behind.
Nobody will catch Bennett from behind.
Gamecocks had another 1st and 10. Taking the opening kickoff of the 2nd half. Having an impressive drive so far. Fake give to Watson, not faked out. Charles Grant. He read Petty with the ball all the way.
Number 19, Charles Grant. That is a tailback. 6'3", 265 pounds, coming out of high school, the top offensive player in his part of the world down in Colquitt, Georgia, and the top defensive player. Speed, agility, coming off a knee injury sustained last year while playing tailback, believe it or not, against Georgia Tech, and he ran down Petty to prevent the naked from becoming something good for South Carolina.
He had a game against Kentucky last year. He had 3 sacks and a 42-yard touchdown run. Defense only so far this year. On 2nd and 14, Petty steps up, fires it to Carlos Spikes. At the 35, cut down. Another stop by Witherspoon. Before we came here from the NC State Indiana game, a couple of times, Carlos Spikes and Phil Petty switched places. Petty went from the shotgun quarterback spot to an inside receiver. Spikes, who played some quarterback last year, took the snap.
Yeah, but he wasn't going to be throwing the ball, though. Phil Petty was open on I think, those plays that he wanted to throw it.
But you see, Carlos wanted to play some more. And Lou told him, if you throw the ball, you come to the bench.
See if he checked off. Spike's got the quarterback that's checked off.
Need somebody to get open on 3rd and 12. And it's Pinnock. Needs to make an open field move. He can't get past Jamie Henderson, who has him at the 30.
Yeah, Jamie did one of those necktie deals because that's a big old load running down the field there. Pinnock had an outstanding game a week ago, running from tailback against New Mexico State. And that's a hog tie deal. Don't try those big legs. Good play. Good play by Jamie.
Carolina going for him, 4th and 8. Petty chased and dropped. He thought he could get around Kendrell Bell, and he misestimated how quick Kendrell Bell was. Once he grabbed him, end of play right there. 8:12 to go in the 3rd, and Georgia, for the 2nd time today, foils a 4th down conversion attempt by South Carolina.
I don't know why he misread his speed. It was coming at him like a blur. Bell absolutely came flying up. Petty got the corner at first on Bruce Adrian. Got outside of him, and then Bell just came flying from the outside to take him down again on the 4th down. That's the 2nd time they tried that 4th down play where they roll wide, give him some more time. Didn't work with the time.
Well, Georgia takes over at their 39, and Carter starts the 2nd half with a good for a couple of yards for Jasper Sanks. Quincy Carter in the 1st half, Bill, 7 of 12, 72 yards, costly interception, and never looked like he really felt in control of this game.
Now, this happens to all players, no matter how good they are. And you're talking about the man who's done more in 2 years as a starting quarterback than any other quarterback in the history of Georgia's program. That's a lot of people. Poor throw, a particularly poor job by Darrell Robinson not coming back, not taking good care of the football, frustration, timeouts, that kind of 1st half.
Now Carter rolling, fires, and that could have been 6 for Darrell Robinson. He makes the adjustment with Carter scrambling and does everything but catch it.
And Darrell not having his best day, and it goes back to just a feeling that you have about this football game, that the Georgia team is not sharp. They do not have their minds completely in the game. Now, that's a wobbler, but that's a catch that you make, and he hardly touched the ball.
Absolutely, that's a catch you make. That's what you expect out of Quincy Carter. If the play's breaking down, he's able to escape. He's able to try and make something big out of something that's not there. No help from his receiver, though.
He hangs on. Georgia leads instead, 3rd and a long 8. Intercepted. Dennis Quinn to the 15-yard line.
Pass intercepted.
Well, a great job that South Carolina. We told you not sure where people were going to come from. That was a zone blitz. That means the defensive lineman is going to drop off into coverage. This time it's going to be the left end. Dennis Quinn, see him here, watch him drop back. He comes in, drops off. The rush comes, you get some pressure from Harney, the linebacker, and just reads Quincy's eyes right where he's going to throw the ball. How about that athletic ability for that lineman? That young man is 255-pounder, just dropping right into the hole there. Look at him motoring.
Brett Millican tries to strip him. Can't do it. Here's what happens to Carter after the insult of the interception. Maybe a little injury there. Pretty slow getting up. Spikes lines up at shotgun quarterback and drops yardage big. Back to the 24. That's going to be a loss of 7 or 8 yards.
Yeah, Charles Grant is the kind of player that can single-handedly take over a football game. On the defensive side of the ball for the Dogs, that's exactly what he's done on the last series and on the first play of this series. Coach Strong pleased with his guys over there. Hey, men, the system works. This is all stuff that's been added after months and months of deliberation. Coach Strong describes Quinn as a very steady player, a consistent guy. And yes, Mike, he showed excellent hand-eye coordination. A rarity among you guys.
Petty now taking this snap under center. Keeps on the action. Not speedy. And down to the 21. And Michelle, you also spoke with Lou Holtz after his halftime speech.
Indeed, I did, Dave. He gave a lot of credit to Georgia. He expects them to make adjustments this half, but he said, you know, we're only worried about our game. And he said this, which kind of stood out. He said, so far, we've proved we can play, but we're expecting their best shot in the second half. Back upstairs.
This is the guy that used to badmouth his own team and build up the Rices of the world so they could win at Notre Dame Stadium. Complete reversal. He's building up his own team now.
Well, he knows who he's working with. He knows the psychological state of both groups.
Third down, shotgun draw, not quite as effective now. Georgia's seen it 4 or 5 times, and Watson dropped by a loss for Bruce Adreen, who makes the stop, along with Richard Seymour.
I asked Lou if he were just crushed yesterday because he didn't get to coach Mike Golick at Notre Dame, and he said, I wouldn't be coaching anymore if I'd have coached Golick because he runs coaches out of the business. He's run more coaches out of the business than any Notre Dame player. He said the guy is a legend on the campus.
I hate to tell you guys, but I do the same thing on the booth guys as well.
43-yarder here for Reed Buffet, who hit from 24 last week. Hits it right, no good. They had it lined up right down the middle, and he pushed it all the way. So they get nothing out of the Quinn interception. Still 14-10 Carolina. Well, just outside of Williams-Brice Stadium, one of the popular tailgating spots, that's the Cockaboose. Some Georgia fans mixed in there. And when you come inside, of course, you take a look at Uga. And Uga trying to keep comfortable somehow, some way. Now, Carter going deep for Reggie Brown. Intercepted at the 30. Sheldon Brown takes it from Reggie Brown's hand.
Jim Donnan had several big play opportunities into his scheme today. He got his man wide open, and Quincy could not deliver the deep ball. Jackson was behind the secondary. Nice recovery by Sheldon Brown, but Sheldon was beaten. Had Quincy been able to put the mustard on the ball, that would have been a touchdown.
I'm going to try and move past the Uga shot here and talk about...
No, Dave got that. Dave, take it away on the Uga shot, buddy.
Again, though, Quincy again underthrowing that ball and throwing late on the other route in his other interception, certainly off there. Well, that's kind of indicative, the shot of Uga, of the play of Georgia right now, I guess.
Sheldon Brown with the 3rd pick today by the South Carolina defense.
But this is a guy that never throws interceptions. That's the thing you got to bear in mind. This is not something that he has done at all in his career.
Gamecocks take over at their 30. Ready firing, Alexander. Here, first down to the 40. Bill Petty had to feel embattled last year. Started 6 games when he didn't have the injured knee. Uga keeping cool. Very warm down there, somewhere in the 90s. Muggy afternoon.
Uga on the rocks. Stirred but not shaken. But I'll tell you what, the guys in the white shirts out there are a little shaken right now, and they've been this way all day long. I'm really very surprised that Georgia did not come out with a vengeance to start the second half. I really am. That's leadership on the team, and that's coaching.
Good chance might have been on that drop by Jarrell Robinson, which is a touchdown if he hangs on. Tough to hang on to Watson, but they've got him again. Jamie Henderson. We check in with Reese Davis.
All right, Dave, Clemson and Missouri, the Tigers from Clemson, known for their offense. They're getting it done on defense here. Kirk Farmer throwing, and Nice play by Patrick Hafley, and he's got open field in front of him. He's going to take it to the house. Tommy Bowden's crew laying it on Missouri 41-9 in the third quarter. Nebraska and Notre Dame still tied at 21, getting very deep in the game. Nebraska has the ball.
Special teams issues for Nebraska. They give up a kickoff return touchdown and a punt return touchdown. We're up 21-7. Big third down here. Petty, Watson, uncovered over the middle, first down. How can you not cover Derek Watson of all people?
Well, I tell you what, that was a great play call by Skip Holtz. They've been running the delays in the backfield, and Georgia, the D-line, has been starting to get some penetration. So when that's happening, when a D-line is getting penetration, what do? You let them come and get their penetration, and you throw the little screen or the little dump right over the top of it. Derek Watson has all the room in the world to run. Good call by Skip Holtz.
Those are confidence builders for your quarterback. Petty has been shaky today at times. He's been brilliant at times, but he has not been consistent. Those are the kinds of throws that help him to keep being more consistent.
Motion from Alexander. He takes it on the reverse. Gets to the 42 of Georgia. ESPN Sunday Night Football, 8:30 Eastern, comes from Phoenix with the Cowboys and Emmitt Smith taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Our coverage begins with NFL primetime at 7:30. And then ABC Monday Night Football, 9 Eastern from East Rutherford. The Patriots visit the Jets. Drew Bledsoe and New England into one of the most intense rivalries in the NFL on the new grass at Giant Stadium.
And we're in the midst of what the South Carolina staff calls stampede.
Time they take the reverse and the give to Watson. And a pickup of 5. Another tackle by somebody in the Georgia secondary. They're making almost all the tackles. Jamie Henderson this time.
Stampede is defined as 4 or 5 plays in succession, called rapidly, hustle to the line of scrimmage when you've got the defense reeling a bit, and that's exactly what South Carolina's doing. So in practice this yesterday, Mike.
They do a good job of setup plays, running a play a certain way, and you know it's a setup for a different play a little later in the game, so it's up to Skip Holtz to just pick his spots of when to do it.
Well, everything he's tried this drive has worked. After a fake to Watson, Petty on the roll, dropped by the intended receiver, Ted Crawford, and it was right in his hands. He may have heard the thundering footsteps of Will Witherspoon, though.
Well, he had Ryan Brewer, a guy he's gone to earlier in the game, wide open in the middle of the field at about the 20-yard line. He was rolling left, though, and Brewer was going toward the middle of the field. You'll see Brewer come into the top of your screen right there. He's wide open right at the top there. But Petty's going the other way. Doesn't look like he can turn and make that throw. Didn't even see him.
He couldn't have made the throw. It's too bad, but he could not have gotten his shoulders turned far enough. He would have been drilled in the ear hole. He hit a guy that was wide open, and here's Skip, not happy with the last decision. Not happy with the last execution either.
He's got picked up here. Rescue gets the snap off in time. Petty through the hands of Brian Scott and incomplete.
What Petty does not need right now is for his receivers to start coughing it up on him. He needs big league catches. This drive would still be alive had either of the last 2 receivers simply looked at the football, look at the tip of the ball, son, catch it, put it away. That's Brian Scott, starting player. You've got to make those. If you're going to beat a team like Georgia, you've got to keep making those plays at times like this.
A while since Tyler Bean has only punted twice. And we're almost done with the third quarter. There he is back at his 10. And Dean overkicks the goal line this time.
Touchback. Will be Georgia first and 10.
A minute 31 to go, third quarter. Gamecocks still up 4. ESPN2's presentation of college football is brought to you by Hyundai. Every Hyundai is backed by America's best warranty with 10 years of powertrain coverage. Back in Columbia, where we have 83,605, the second largest crowd in the history of South Carolina football, within 95 of the all-time record set in the Clemson game 3 years ago. If you can't find a seat, head to the tunnel and watch it from there. 1st and 10 from the 20. Just the 5th play this quarter run by the Georgia offense. So they don't get much out of it. Sanks a yard, maybe. On the other hand, the South Carolina offense has snapped it 22 times. They've got about a 12.5 to 1.5 minute advantage in time of possession in the 3rd quarter. Quincy Carter, who had thrown only 16 interceptions in his career, about 2% of his attempts, has 3 today on 15 attempts. That's about 10 times his normal interception rate, and Jim Donnan has not seen Quincy Carter look like himself ever all afternoon. Sanks for the action, pitch cut down for a loss of the 19 by Jonathan Martin.
I'll tell you, Bill, you just got people making mistakes now for Georgia, not blocking, missing blocks and not blocking all in one play. When you do that on the option, you're going to have a bad outcome.
Oh, yeah. Randy McMichael, number 86, is the H-back. He was in motion. He was the lead blocker. He's the arc blocker on the option. And he ran right by the tackler who came up and made the hit for a loss. It was as if he didn't know what to do, and the guy's a veteran, one of the top players.
Well, an awful lot of 3rd and longs today for the Bulldogs. Carter chase, throws on the run. It's incomplete in front of Reggie Brown. A 3 and out again for the Gamecock defense.
And that was a simple matter of Dennis Quinn, Cecil Caldwell, and the troops beating the people up front. John Stinchcomb, Kevin Breedlove. Right now, Quincy had no chance.
Confidence breeds confidence. The South Carolina defense certainly has a bunch of that today. A great job of mixing it up, coming after him. 3 down linemen, sometimes 4. 2 linebackers, always 5 defensive backs, making it very difficult for Georgia to get anything sustained since that first drive of the game.
South Carolina, more often than not, has started a possession at least at midfield, sometimes beyond. Brewer fumbles that punt, and then he makes his own recovery at the 45. Only a 35-yard kick by Kilgo. And so, same score we had at the half. 14-10 South Carolina. 1 more quarter to go. Will the Gamecocks end an 18-game SEC losing streak? With defense like they have shown to Carter today, maybe. Don't rule it out. Now, Quincy Carter, who, as a junior, the unquestioned leader of this Georgia offense, they haven't gotten it done today. So he goes man by man all the way down the bench, making sure they realize that there's 15 more minutes, 4-point game. They can still make it happen.
And that's what a real leader does. He never hangs his head. He just keeps on keeping on.
They only had the ball 7 snaps in the 3rd quarter. The 4th quarter opens with Ryan Fleming carrying for 4 and brought down by Richard Seymour. Send it down to Michelle.
Well, Dave, remember last night Lou Holtz said he told his team, this is a football. It's the most important part of this game. Therefore, whoever has it better protect it, and when they get it, we better take it away. And so far, his defense has done just that. 3 interceptions today against Quincy Carter, a guy who rarely throws interception. Lou Holtz, one of the great motivators of all time.
They took the lesson to heart, and they've only given it up once themselves on an interception. Now, that one was costly because they might have been up 21-10 if not for Jermaine Phillips' end zone interception. But they're up 2, and they'll take that. Fleming squeezes through, has a first down. Ryan Brewer taking this series for Derek Watson to get a breather, and it's Brewer all the way to the 43.
Well, nothing fancy now. Just taking it. They've been doing this the whole game, going for the shotgun straight ahead, right in the middle, in the teeth of those 2 defensive tackles from Georgia, Marcus Stroud and Richard Seymour, and right now South Carolina getting the better part of it.
Player of the decade of the 90s in Ohio. people that come through the state of Ohio in the 90 speed. He was judged the best in the state out of Troy. First and 10, again it is Brewer, and again breaking tackles, and that's close for another first down. Bill, Georgia just getting physically handled.
Georgia's getting knocked off the ball. Lou loves it. Look at him. He's encouraging every single one of his players, but you got to take your hat off to the middle linemen for South Carolina. Cedric Williams, Scott Brown, Phillip Jones, C.J. Fry. They're just knocking those big guys back, Mike.
This one's coming back, though, on motion, South Carolina.
That is a killer, because you 2 plays in a row, you get a nice run by Brewer. You're getting your confidence up on that middle running, and it's coming back again, Coach. You talk about the dumb penalty.
Offense. 5-yard penalty.
That is the first South Carolina penalty all day. 1 turnover, 1 penalty.
Ball 28-yard line, first down.
Well, Lou makes it sound so simple. It's all about the football. Hang on to the football, huh?
Wipe out a nice first down gain, and so first and 15, and Watson shaking and baking, all that to just get back to the line of scrimmage. Miami and Washington, Reese Davis, updated.
Well, I think we can say that the Pac-10 has answered the bell, Dave. Miami and Washington, you know, Washington was thought to be the team that couldn't do it with speed. Or maybe that's not the right assessment. Rich Alexis, 50 yards. He's a freshman from Coral Springs, Florida. Najee Davenport just scored his 27-15. 24-21. Notre Dame has a field goal in overtime. Nebraska's turn.
Wow. Yeah, the demise of the Pac-10 greatly exaggerated. Demise of Notre Dame likewise. Petty shoveling, and he's Watson. Boy, you can't take your eyes off him in the open field, especially.
No, and they're hanging on to the football. John Heisman, the great coach at my alma mater, Georgia Tech, is famous for having said, men, he held up the football, he said, it is better that you should have died as a small child than that you drop this object. Well, I'm not sure Lou would put it in that terms, but his men have understood. And Mike, here's our man running right up the pipe the way you would like. You would have coached him to take it north and south.
Right up the middle, and that's where they're getting their yards now, is right up the middle. Yep. Earlier it's been on the outside. Now they're just taking it right to them.
The big guys are getting whipped up front for Georgia.
Strength of that defense was supposed to be 2 of the best tackles in the country. Stroud and Seymour running right at him has been the way to go for South Carolina today. On 3rd and 2, they try it again, and he comes up short.
Yeah, they're not even in there now, Dave. They put in David Jacobs, 99, and Jonathan Sullivan, 57, who's a true freshman from Griffin, Georgia. And I'll tell you, if I'm those 2 guys and I'm supposed to be a defensive team leader, I'm not very happy with myself right now.
Especially the 2 guys who just came in are the ones that helped make the play to make it 4th down. And I believe this is going to be the 4th time now that South Carolina's going for it. They've only made 1.
I think this is a mistake. I think they should punt the ball here.
I love the call. So I knew we were going to disagree about that.
Fourth and 2. Pinnock tries to power it through, and he will not get there, but a marker is down. Andrew Pinnock stopped short by a yard, but we wait for the indication.
When a marker's coming from the side like that, you wonder if somebody lined up offside.
Motion again. Both their penalties on this drive, motion. The only 2 all day.
Not very good timing to have the penalties. Again, the blocking, the trap block was superb. The trap blocking was superb, but there was too much penetration, Mike. I still don't like the call. I think you kick them down inside the 10-yard line, see if they can go the distance, because they're having so much trouble offensively today.
You think maybe that play was built on the confidence of the South Carolina defense right now, saying, hey, they've got confidence, we'll go for it, we trust our defense, they've been doing a good job, so let's try and get that first down, and if we don't get it, hey, our defense has been doing it all day. Maybe that was a confidence booster for the defense.
Well, you have to say that to the defense, and that's what you're exactly right to answer your question. Yes, that's good coaching. All right, man, the coach is showing confidence in us. If the offense doesn't make it, we're going to go out there and stone them, but that's a whole lot easier to do when the ball's on the 4-yard line than when it is out here.
10,000 Georgia fans or so wondering if their team's got a comeback in them. 11:06 to go. 11:06 in the fourth quarter as Georgia has 1st and 10. Quincy Carter, late option pitch. A nice catch. It was thrown behind Brett Millican, but he brought it in. Got brought down by Rashod Faison, Andre Offing, and Andre Goodman.
I'll see if they can get something going here. I mean, that play will make you hold your breath a little bit when you get a pitch that late. They've got to get some kind of drive here. South Carolina's gone 3 and out a couple of times now.
Total offense for Georgia in the second half is 6 yards. Since the first quarter, it is 42 yards, and they've had the ball 3 minutes to 16-19 for South Carolina. That's complete, close to a first down. That time is LeBron Mitchell, junior from Marietta, hit by Faison.
Well, we talked about that first drive of the game, Bill. These are a couple of plays that were in that first drive when Georgia went right down the field and scored. We saw the quick hitch, get the lineman out in front. That time with John Stinchcomb getting out in front of the wide receiver, making a play. I wonder if they'll go back to it a little bit, since that was the last time, really, they were successful.
Well, when they were behind Purdue and made the all-time comeback in the history of bowl games last year, came from 25 zip to beat Purdue 28-25. This is the kind of offense they utilize. A lot of quick screens, and they're going to pop one sooner or later unless South Carolina can keep their perseverance, keep their focus. So far, they've been focused like a magnifying glass. The South Carolina team is very impressive in what they've done.
But they've had so many opportunities offensively, and now they're still putting it on the shoulders of the defense, the way they did all last year.
And what did Charlie Strong, defense coordinator for South Carolina, tell us? Patience, patience, patience. That's what he wants his defense to have. They may give up a couple of big plays, they may get driven on, but they'll come back and they'll make their plays, and that has been identical as to what has happened today. They are making the plays. Also, what their head coach Lou Holtz teaches, you take their best shot, they knock you in the dirt, and you get up with a bloody mouth, and you come back at them again and again, and that's what this South Carolina team has done.
On 3rd and 1, they will get the first down. For Ron Haynes. Nebraska and Notre Dame all over. Reese, how did that one end?
Notre Dame had the 3-point lead in overtime. This is 2nd and 2. Nebraska trying to answer. Eric Crouch has been held to minus 16 yards rushing in the second half, but he gets them when it counts and wins the game for #1 Nebraska 27-24. The Huskers survive.
Mike still got to make a proud Notre Dame.
Bob Davies been under a lot of pressure this year. Got to be very proud of the way his guys played here. I'm very proud to be a Notre Dame alum.
Carter ready to hang one deep for his tight end. Blasted, but hanging on is Randy McMichael. Antoine Neesmith unloaded on him. He knew he was coming. He still hangs on and gets 31 yards.
So what does the top player, what does the guy who holds the records and is the team leader do when he's had a frustrating day? You come right back, you make a tough throw, you thread the needle right down the pipe. This is a seam pass, this is a vertical. Good job by the big man, Javaris Johnson. Watch the catch, big hit right here, concentration. Will Georgia as a team do this the rest of the game? We'll see.
It's their 3rd first down since the first quarter. Now Sanks. And a gain of 3 to the 20, brought down by Offing.
Again, this is what South Carolina talked about. They're going to give up that big play. Patience, patience. Now they have to come back and make the play of their own. Obviously here, you gave up that big play. You want to hold Georgia to a field goal attempt. And if you have to give up points, make it just 3.
Patience is an issue, and probably at this point, energy. Very warm, muggy afternoon, and we're getting late.
Both these teams are jacked up now. Georgia's playing harder. Georgia's sensing the urgency.
Well, they're sensing the play clock going down. And fires for the end zone. It is too tall for Edwards. Incomplete.
Well, that time, South Carolina baited him into what you call a man free. It means your man on the corners. The cornerbacks have the wide receivers man-to-man. You keep a free safety back in the middle. He just kind of roams back there. South Carolina brought everybody up. At the end, they dropped back. They dropped the defensive back. and put him right, so it ended up the double coverage on the receiver. Quincy Carter picked that up too late, thought he had man-to-man coverage. Only one man, Rashod Faison, number 11, is the one that dropped back to take that away from him.
Made him elevate the throw.
It's 30% on third downs for the Dogs. Carter tosses this one out. What a great tackle at the 20. Edwards knocked down by Goodman.
I got to tell you, Goodman has impressed last week and this. He was not supposed to be a starter, but he ended up being pressed into duty as a free safety last week. Did a wonderful job in that game. And here is as big a play as there has been today, because Terrence Edwards is a guy that can take it to the house, to use Donnan's words.
Andre Goodman 2 years ago ripped up his knee against Georgia. Cost him the rest of that year and about half of last year. Huge interception today. Big tackle there. 4th and 7. They're coming after Carter. Gets away. Throws on the run. It is out of bounds and incomplete. Intended for Javaris Johnson.
Coach Donnan doesn't have much confidence in his field goal kicker, because 3 points would have been very big right there. It would have taken the lead to 7. And instead he went for it at the 20-yard line. It would have just been a 37-yarder.
Johnson will be checked by the trainers as he makes his way to the Georgia sideline. Gamecocks hold on 4th down. Carter missing his connection to Johnson, his tight end. Probably surprised to head to that side of the field. Still stuck on 10 points since 2:46 of the second quarter. It's been 14-10 South Carolina. We reached the midway point of the 4th quarter. We're still there. Petty ready to go deep. Spikes is uncovered and has to step out of bounds, but he's got it at the 46. A gain of 34. 34 yards, but Carlos is upset because if he doesn't catch it so close to the sideline, it's 80 yards and a touchdown.
Petty's been playing a little bit longer. He'll lead him inside on this, and it'll go for 6 points. But here's a busted coverage. Spikes is out there all by himself. And it was a banjo, or an in and out, between the two defensive players on that side, and they both went in. Somebody was supposed to take the outside receiver and simply did not see him.
South Carolina dominating time of possession this second half. That's incomplete, intended for Michael Agees. But they got it because of another missed opportunity for Georgia, turned away on 4th down.
Absolutely. You talk about what plays you look at right here. There's 3 offensive linemen have to take care of 3 or 4 defensive players. Well, there you're going to see the one Kalimba drop out, so it's 3 on 3. They don't zone it right. Nobody slides down to pick it up. When you have 5 on 5, everybody should be blocked. They blow the assignment on what at that point was the biggest play in the game and come away with nothing.
Then they turn right around and make a coverage error on an in and out. And now, South Carolina's in their territory.
Petty running to the short side. Only one blocker over there, and he only gets 2 yards out of it before he's upended by Richard Seymour.
Again, the play I like to Spike, the long play, it was a setup play. You've seen the shotgun, the fake handoff, the quick pass. You've seen it a few times. This time, the shotgun, the fake handoff, you fake the quick pass, and there goes Spikes right at the middle of the field. So the defenders bit up on it, left him wide open.
So here's a big 3rd and 7 for the Gamecocks, who are only 33%. Georgia basically the same all day. Slug it out, SEC opener for both these teams. Georgia picked by many to win the SEC East. Jim Donnan said, if we do that, that means we'll run the top 5 teams in the country. This ball is overthrown, intended for Jamel Kelly, who looks for a flag and won't get it. Tim Wansley had him covered. Overthrown, not by much this time by Petty.
Yeah, Gary Gibbs says that Tim Wansley is his best cover man. He's in perfect position here, running with the receiver on his outside hip. he actually falls, and had that ball been thrown a little lower, it might have been caught by Kelly. That defender, Wansley, did a good job.
He did, but that was 6'2" against 5'9". Wansley was right there, but you're right, that ball's a little lower. Kelly would have out-jumped him.
Again, Dean aiming for around the 10 with Damian Gary's here. Gamecocks surround this one, and they let it get away. Oh, my goodness.
Oh.
6 guys down there inside the 5. Nobody could down it. So Donnan and Quincy Carter cooking up another chance to drive it down 4. ESPN2's presentation of college football is brought to you by Miller Lite. Grab a Miller Lite. It's Miller time. Tranquility on the campus and anything but inside Williams-Brice Stadium. And the Georgia Bulldogs, I can't tell you how lucky they are. They're not having to drive it 99 yards. Instead, 80 yards away. Carter takes the shotgun snap. And it's intercepted for the 4th time today. Rashod Faison, the 3rd Gamecock to touch it. Hands on.
And the first one, Kenny Harney probably should have caught the ball, but he'll take it with his teammate tucking it in. And here they are going right back at University of Georgia again, and the Bulldogs' frustrations just continue.
Well, you talk about tip drill. That was the ultimate tip drill that defenders work on all the time. You tip it from one man to the next. They kept that ball alive, did a fantastic job. The ending dive for the interception.
Yeah, that's right. And it began with another situation where South Carolina's defense actually tricked the veteran quarterback into a poor throw, into a poor location.
Guys, that is a guy who was intercepted 6 times all of last year. And the Gamecocks have him 4 times today. Realize what we're watching here. Randy Brewer. For a couple. Now they've got to pull some Bulldog tacklers off Brewer. That almost turns into a flag for roughing for Georgia. This is how close Georgia was to starting at their own 1. And how nobody downs that is beyond me.
Oh.
So they start from the 20. And they get the good bounce. In fact, a couple of them. And it finally ends up in Faison's hands. 4th interception. Georgia calls timeout. 5:57 remaining. And the Gamecocks hang on and end his 18-game SEC streak. With Mike Golick, Bill Curry, Michelle Tafoya, Dave Barnett, 83,605, second biggest crowd here ever. Ball is fumbled after the timeout, and Corey Alexander down a foot race, runs out of room at the 37 and gets hit late, and flags fly.
And that is an absolutely incredible mistake by the University of Georgia. The guy is 2 or 3 steps out of bounds, and he's drilled, which is going to take this down for another first down. And here it comes.
Kendrell
what
Bell.
a mistake by the veteran Kendrell Bell, who's one of the defensive leaders, the middle linebacker, a fine player, much smarter than this. Kendrell will be drilled on that. That's a film.
How much frustration is that at this point? I have to imagine it's a dumb play, no doubt. I think it's a lot of frustration. Go back to the play. I'm sure from your coaching standpoint, I don't think you'd like that offensive play. You run in reverse with a 14-10 lead. It almost blows up on you. It turns out to work out for South Carolina here. But I think that was an over-aggression play. Very, very dumb play by Kendrell Bell. A lot of frustration, I think, in that one. No excuse for it, though, at all.
No. And back to your point about the reverse, I wouldn't be against the call, but when they were penetrating, you don't make the handoff. You just take the loss.
Give it up 15, 22-yard line is where they get it 1st and 10. Into Watson. Hit immediately by Jamie Henderson. No gain. Georgia down to 2 timeouts. Down near 5.5 minutes remaining. It is everything now that they hold them to no more than 3.
That's right. And Jim Donnan's going to learn an awful lot about his football team here in this hostile stadium in a fourth quarter situation. Because if you're going to be a champion, you got to win these games. And I'm going to say again, I don't like the body language of the Georgia players jogging, waddling off the field.
They're not taking as long as he can before getting the snap. Watson piled up. Bruce Adrien with the tackle. We're under 5 minutes.
That's pretty good body language right there, though.
Well, what they're doing is they brought in a wholesale change of about 4 or 5 guys there, guys that are a little more fresh. You have, again, the 2 big guys, Richard Seymour and Marcus Straub, the D tackles. They were out on that play. Then you see a good play by the defense of Georgia. Fresh bodies are in there.
Derek Watson today, 19 carries, 72 yards. He has both the Gamecocks touchdowns. Lou Holtz said this summer he will either fill an NFL stadium someday or he'll sweep one up. He's leaning toward the filling of upside. And to gig Watson into reaching his vast potential. On display here, Watson has his 3rd touchdown. South Carolina kicking for an 11-point lead. 4:10 remaining. An 18-game Southeastern Conference losing streak is that close to ending. Holtz says this guy can carry any offense in the conference. Believe him. Now's this crowd, week in, week out, has got to be the most loyal in college football. They saw them win their opener in '98, and that was it. 10 straight losses. 11 losses last year. The last time they'd strung 2 in a row was October of '97. And they're 4 minutes away. This return by Bruce Thornton ends at the 26.
Well, here's the touchdown. C.J. Fry, the right guard, he has the first good block. He pulls across, does a nice job of hooking, opening up the hole. Then Terrell Vieira, 15, falls down. He's on his knees. And as he keeps going, number 10, Carlos Spikes for South Carolina right there, gets a great block to send Mr. Watson into the end zone.
And David, I do not think he'll be sweeping.
No.
In the NFL stadium.
Nope.
I think he'll be filling. I really do. I think Mr. Holtz has gotten his attention. He also makes him go to class, you know.
Now Carter rolling and throwing incomplete. Nothing developing there. The last time South Carolina had this much to celebrate, the last win over an SEC opponent, October 25th, '97. Vanderbilt. It was also the second in their last 2-game winning streak. Last win over a ranked team, November '96, Clemson. Last time over a top 10 team almost 12 years ago, also against Georgia. Guys, those are in severe jeopardy. I think both of them come down if they hang on to this thing.
They are. It's been said that genius is nothing more than a greater aptitude for patience. Coach Holtz has shown it.
Carter, interception. Dennis Quinn, second.
The zone blitz confuses even the best players. You got a defensive lineman, Dennis Quinn, number 93, lined up there like he's going to be a pass rusher. and then he drops out, and he's not supposed to be there. Here he comes. He's lined up as a defensive tackle, and he plucks the ball. Good hand-eye coordination. A big day for the defensive tackles, Mike Golick.
Athletes on the field.
He's carried it for the offense. He's got all 3 of their touchdowns at 93 yards. And the defense has intercepted Quincy Carter today 1 less time than every opponent Georgia played did last year. 3:41 remaining. Andrew Pinnock near the 25.
Now, this is Coach Holtz, and I'm speaking of Skip Holtz now, the offensive coordinator. This is his answer. This is the elephant backfield. Here he is again. This is the elephant backfield with the big guys. Andrew Pinnock, who normally lines up at fullback, is the tailback, and he's being led by the 250-pound number 40, Travis Lewis, and they're going to try to hammer it down and run this clock now. Georgia has gotten past the thing of focus and, gee, we got to get things going. They're in desperate straits as of now.
Under 3 minutes. They've got 2 timeouts left. Pinnock, the power back. Inside the 25. That's it. We send you to Reese Davis for an update.
All right, guys, this is Tommy Tuberville going in to Vaught-Hemingway Stadium, and he was greeted warmly, I'm sure you would imagine. You can see Auburn and Ole Miss, 7 o'clock Eastern Time here on ESPN2.
There's some long memories at Oxford. Bulldogs call their 2nd timeout. This is a combination of emotions registered on those faces. They are shocked, maybe a little embarrassed.
Well, here's the emotion. If you're the coach, there's nothing you can say to your highly talented squad to make them believe that Columbia is going to be this kind of nightmare. It's going to be a quagmire, quicksand. The other guys are going to be flying and jacked up and quick, and you're going to feel like you're running in quicksand. You can't make your players believe it, and now the Georgia players are looking at each other saying, how did we get in this situation? And you honestly don't know what to do about it.
Yeah, and the big thing for South Carolina is getting the players to believe in each other. Lou Holtz thought they believed in the coaches, but wasn't sure if they believed in each other. I would say through this success, they're starting to believe in each other. I don't think these guys have jumped around like this in a long, long time.
Georgia had 10,000 or so here, and what about 6,000 already headed to the exits.
Well, this is the tough lesson, and of course the game still got 2 minutes and 40 seconds, and anything could happen. It's 3rd and 5 here. It'll be interesting to see what the South Carolina coaches do, whether they have confidence in their field goal protection if necessary.
All the tight ends that get out on the field, and they get the first down to Rod Trafford, who is all the way to the 17.
Well, they get to burn more time off the clock now. You'll keep seeing that elephant backfield. Kind of mean. And the big guys are back there calling the elephant backfield.
Yeah, and the smart thing Trafford did there was to get on the ground before he went out of bounds and kept that clock running. He was right at the sideline. I was interested to see if a guy that hadn't been playing much was going to do the right thing. He did. He got on the ground.
He's doing a good job of letting the play clock run down.
Yes.
Every snap coming under 5. Right at 2 here. Andrew Pinnock to the 15.
And I'm going to tell you, if you're an offensive lineman, this is the fun part. You're just smashing off the ball.
Quincy Carter has never had it going today.
No, he hasn't, and this is great. Players have off days at times. The zone blitz got him twice. Tough for him to read. Bad throw on the first interception. That one, he just hung it up way too late when he threw the ball. That the 4-man tip drill. Just an off day, but I really think he's been confused by that zone blitz when you see a D lineman get 2 interceptions today. Very, very difficult day for him reading.
5 picks. 6 all last season. One of the toughest quarterbacks in recent college football to intercept. The Gamecocks made it look easy. Pinnock is down to the 12. 10 of 24 for 108 yards. That is all from Quincy Carter.
And you really have to take your hat off to C.J. Fry. Melvin Page, those O-linemen, Thomas Hill, a tight end, they're coming off the ball and they're knocking these people back. And the Georgia players understand now that South Carolina's for real. A little bit late in the game to be figuring that out.
Very shortly, everybody else in the Southeastern Conference is going to realize that. Six on the snap clock. And Ryan Brewer hit at the 10. Georgia one more timeout. And they're just letting it roll. Inside 20 seconds. Well, the Lou Holtz era, you can almost wipe out last year. It's officially underway now.
Say goodbye to the goalposts again.
Well, there goes the south end, and they're headed toward the north end.
Have a ball.
That's one repair bill they will be only too happy to pay.
Absolutely right, Dave.
And Lou Holtz ran straight to Quincy Carter and hugged him and encouraged him. That's something that I have not seen very many times in my many years in football.
First win over a top 10 team in 12 years. And the 18-game SEC losing streak falls with the goalpost.
Those are going to be carried all over the city tonight. Just get out of the way and let them carry it.
Yeah, my good buddy Bucky Trotter is in charge of all these facilities, and God bless you, Bucky. You got your work cut out for you. You lost your hedges last week. Now you're losing both goalposts, but I imagine that Mike McGee will come up with the cash to get those put back up. Mike McGee's the athletic director, by the way.
The guy paying the check, paying the bill.
Well, the party is just beginning in Columbia. Again, our final score, the Gamecocks 21, number 10, Georgia 10. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, your home for college football on the internet. For Bill Curry, Mike Golick, and Michelle Tafoya, Dave Barnett saying so long from Columbia. And you'll hear from Reese Davis after this timeout.